Hey, welcome to our daily election show. I'm Vikram Chandra, and we are here now at our partners Hindustan Times office, where we are going to try and really dive in. Most of the elections are over, campaigning coming to an end for the sixth phase. Just one more phase of voting and then some more campaigning, and then we are done. Most of the answers to what's happened in this general election are already there in those EVMs, and we're waiting to see what happens. So we're going to try and get some sort of a sense from the big experts as to what's probably happened right now, and we're going to spend some time looking at the maps and the data to try and see what could possibly be happening. So it's great to have Sunetra Chaudhary, political editor of Hindustan Times, of course somebody whom I have worked at great and exhaustive length together for a long period of time, Sunetra. So great to be talking in a
Thank you for having me on your show, Vikram.
In a new avatar. Well, it's a joint Editorji Hindustan Times show, so great to have you with us, a political editor of the Hindustan Times, Roshan, who's the data and political economy editor of the Hindustan Times. Great to have you as well. These are the maps that I'm going to try and get everyone's attention to in just a couple of minutes. And Nalini Singh, one of our most veteran senior journalists who knows exactly what's happening and who's winning in every single constituency of the country down to the vote margin. So we're going to get you into it.
I know who's contesting all 543 constituencies from one side, and that's Mr. Narendra Modi. He is the candidate in 543 constituencies.
Actually, that's pretty much the way it is seeming, right? So you do think this has become almost a presidential type election with Narendra Modi as it's a referendum on Narendra Modi?
Well, I would say that the allies also are pitching it as a contest between Mr. Narendra Modi, their leader, and the opposition. So, and the BJP, of course, will. So, what do you make of it?
Okay, let me just turn to Sunetra, who's just, of course, spent a lot of time, what was it, Sunetra, 30 minutes with Rahul Gandhi, who's, of course, many would assume he's the challenger to Narendra Modi in this. I know you tried very hard to get that out of him, almost at the point of extracting teeth to say, are you the candidate or are you not? What is his sense?
No, I think, Vikram, it's very clear he is the Congress's candidate. So all of those days of will he, won't he, they are gone. I think what he was hesitating in saying is because it is going to be, he has to get the alliance together. And it's very clear that a lot of the people who are in that alliance, whether it's Mamata Banerjee or it's Sharad Pawar, apart from RJD and Stalin, the others won't have a Congress, won't have Rahul Gandhi thrust on them. So Rahul has been he's very clear. He kept saying during the interview when we pushed him at it, because I said to him, well, if Stalin has asked for it, we've also had even Arvind Kejriwal saying, if you support me on full statehood, so, they've all said you are the PM candidate. And what's interesting, he just kept saying, I respect people's numbers. What does that mean? It means that if Congress plus RJD plus Stalin, I'm not counting Kejriwal into this, if that amounts to 150 plus, Vikram, then we have a situation that Rahul Gandhi becomes the PM candidate. Less than that, less than with Congress, less than 100, no way. They are very clear.
I mean, look, I'm going to come to some scenarios. There's one scenario which says, why are you debating all this? Is obviously Narendra Modi, BJP easily forming the government. And I'm going to ask you, Roshan, about some of the possible thresholds where this starts to kick in, where the numbers come in. Who are the other challengers? I mean, we keep hearing Mayawati throwing a ring and all that. All of this is, of course, premature till the 23rd. But who could the other contenders be other than Modi and perhaps Rahul Gandhi?
It's Mamata Banerjee, I would say, and at another level, Mayawati. So, in terms of when Sunetra was talking about the allies of UPA, I would include the NCP also in this 150 target. But going back to Mamata Banerjee, I think the key, Vikram, lies just now in what happens in Bengal. And I think all of what you're talking about will actually crystallize if today the four of us actually had a preview of what's happened to those 42 seats. Because BJP is claiming, as you know, 23, if not 24. And Mamata Banerjee, Derek O'Brien are saying 42 out of 42, not one less. So, I think it's actually there. We used to say that it's the Gathbandhan, Mahagathbandhan in UP. So now that 6 phases are over and you're kind of getting the sense that they've held their ground, the Mahagathbandhan. and the votes have got transferred. So now I think it comes to
What actually happens in Uttar Pradesh is the big question. I'm going to turn to it in just a couple of minutes.
Can I just add one contender that Nalini didn't mention, and he's become a really serious contender now? It's Sharad Pawar. Sharad Pawar definitely so, because
Possible.
he can get many people in. In fact, someone told me that they're saying, look at the kind of noises that someone like Shiv Sena made, and if they need last minute hit of numbers, if there's one person who can potentially break the Shiv Sena, it's only Sharad Pawar.
Agreed.
Okay, interesting. I've noticed none of you are saying Gadkari, Rajnath Singh. Are those theories over?
We're talking about the UPA, right?
No,
I
I'm
think
just trying to think that if Modi doesn't get the number. Okay, Roshan, let's just look at the numbers for a couple of minutes. And I just want to take you all through possible scenarios, right? So there are various scenarios and then the various different permutations. Let's just look at the BJP's numbers. And let's start with, well, BJP getting 260, 270 on its own. You can say it's unlikely because it virtually swept 2014, but the BJP is very confident, by the way. If you talk to senior BJP leaders, they'll say, I don't know, some of the debate is BJP by itself is getting 270, 280, 290.
Yeah.
In this scenario, obviously, BJP forms the government. We've just heard Gadkari and others saying that even if they are allies, even if the BJP gets an absolute majority, it will take its allies. So 260, 270, it's a BJP government, no question, Narendra Modi is the Prime Minister. Now let's start dropping the number. 230, 240 perhaps is the next threshold, where at 230, 240, it's still Narendra Modi, it's still a BJP government because the NDA allies would be enough to take them. So I'm just trying to get the thresholds and we'll keep dropping it there. Is that the correct threshold? So one is BJP majority by itself, which is 260, 270 for the BJP. At 230, 240, if you add up Shiv Sena and AIA, DMK and JDU and all of that, at 230, 240, it's a no problems NDA government.
If the BJP gets 220, 230, I do not think they would find it difficult to form a government. I mean, we have had governments in India in the past where parties have managed to run coalitions with much lower numbers. I mean, Mr. Vajpayee did it, the Congress did it in 4 and 9. So if they get past the 220, 225 mark also, I think it should be easy to
So the second band, if you're saying is 230, 240, is because then it's just the NDA, nothing else is required. Now, to take your point forward, there's another band which is, let's say 200 or 210 to 230, 240, somewhere in that range. 210 to 230 for the BJP means NDA by itself may not be enough. So they would need to get TRS, maybe Jagan, possibly Biju Janata Dal, possibly, and who knows who the others are. So that's a third band. What level is it easy for the BJP to form the government?
Well, you know, it's become, Hindustan Times, we just did a story which ran yesterday, which talked about, now this of course is posturing and all of that, which talked about how KCR has, and these are, you know, people very close to him have said that KCR has taken a decision because of the large number of people in Telangana who, his Muslim vote bank, he has decided he's not going to support the Modi government. Of course, if it looks very clear that, you know, Modi is forming government, if they're very close to it, if the UPA, the other side, the Congress is in no position at all, then obviously that, you know, they're saying all options are open. However, they say that they are reluctant to go with the BJP. And the fact that we've also carried the story saying that they've sent, you know, Congress and KCR have been talking, not directly, only through people that are close to them, that they've got not middlemen, that's a wrong word, there are go-betweens between the two parties and they're speaking to each other, they've kept the lines open. It shows that, you know, the KCR may be tricky in the end.
Okay.
Of course, Naveen Patnaik, we've seen the love fest.
But for Naveen now it's a direct fight with the BJP, so there's an issue. TRS, you know, and then Jagan may perhaps be the easiest. And Jagan is another 17, 18. So his number was, so just with the NDA 230 plus for the BJP alone is fine. I mean the NDA is 270. For the BJP to be able to get other parties, and let's remember, 200 plus means it's almost certainly Narendra Modi who will be called to form the government. You know, Mr. Kovind will call him then and say, you are the person, and he's sworn in. Narendra Modi, once he is sworn in as the Prime Minister, will not perhaps find it that difficult to get the numbers.
Yeah.
At what point is it easy for the BJP to form the government?
Oh, I think even 200 200 of BJP or even 190 or so, you know, a figure touching 200, they'll be able to form. I think, Vikram,
at 200, how would they form it? Because the NDA, let's say, is 40, 45. So
that's what I'm coming to, actually.
They need to get one or two others.
That's what I'm coming to, is the meeting, the important meeting that the opposition has asked for of President Kovind. Now, they have already anticipated that Mr. Modi's entire entourage will try to lure 2 or 3 parties. So, without parties that can be lured are some parties that you know, and it's not Mamata Banerjee. So, whoever can be. Now, the interesting thing is that the opposition has woken up just now to the fact that even at 190 or 200, BJP is a kind of done deal if the other parties come in. So, I'm very interested in the preemption, perhaps, of this by asking for a meeting with the president, which has not happened before.
So, if we're looking at those scenarios, we've been looking at these bands, BJP 260 plus, we looked at the band BJP 230 plus, we looked at the band BJP, let's say 200 to 230. This is where it starts to get really interesting. And then you may have a band which the BJP will say these are crazy numbers, BJP 175 down, which means it's almost certainly an opposition government of some sort or the other. This version becomes a really interesting band, right? BJP 175 to 210. Now, we're not saying that any of these scenarios are necessarily working out. We're just looking at the various bands at which this can happen and what therefore the outcome of that will be. So when you have the final number on the 23rd, based on these bands, we can try and get a sense of where the government will be. So 200 plus, it's Narendra Modi government, no issue. 175 down, it's an opposition government with somebody we don't know who. 175 to 200, 210, that's where it becomes open season. What do you think the dynamics would be there?
I think what Nalini said in the beginning is that it becomes important here when she said it's almost a presidential style contest. I think rather than 2019 being a presidential contest, I mean, Narendra Modi is the primary adversary of pretty much everybody except in Andhra and Telangana in the country this time. So the BJP is not much of a factor in both Andhra and Telangana, but apart from that, from Haryana, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh to Bengal, Odisha, Assam, everywhere the BJP, even in Tamil Nadu, the BJP has a much bigger footprint in the ADMK coalition than it used to have earlier. So we have to see as to, and the NDA maths is also slightly complicated this time because the main allies in terms of seats would be the Shiv Sena in Maharashtra, the JDU in Bihar, they are contesting 17 seats. The Akalis, I think nobody expects them to get as many seats as they have been able to in the past.
ADMK could be an interesting. We don't know how many
could be an
seats
interesting thing.
Get,
yes, that's
it could be zero. One view says DMK is going to sweep it.
If the BJP were to say do badly in Bihar and Maharashtra and probably make up those gains from say an Odisha or a West Bengal, then the NDA numbers could end up being smaller than what they have been normally with the BJP. And like you said, you end up emerging as a main threat to both Naveen Patnaik and Mamata Banerjee. It would be difficult for them to do business with the BJP in that case because they see it as an immediate threat.
So would you say 170, 180, or the BJP is under 200, then the opposition has a better chance than Narendra Modi, even though he'll be the single largest party and likely to get 10 invitations?
The problem in that case, Vikram, would be compared to what we have seen earlier is that it will depend on how many does the Congress actually get. Because let us go back to 2004. That I think is the most, because in 2009 the Congress was above 200, so it was essentially a done deal. Now in 4 the Congress and BJP were almost at par, 146, 138, those kind of numbers. The left had a huge parliamentary bloc, 60 odd MPs. So that I think acted as a stabilizing factor for the anti-BJP coalition to sort of gel together. We know that is not going to happen today. The left will do very badly in Bengal. I mean, people are saying even in Kerala the UDF is going to probably finish ahead of the left. So if that sort of a stabilizing anti-BJP force is not there in the Lok Sabha when the numbers come, then to keep this anti-BJP flock together is not going to be an easy thing. And we can see, let us not forget we saw a BJP-PDP government in Jammu and Kashmir. So in politics, nothing can be ruled out.
So here's the map. And Sunitra, also as you can see, this has been the most startling aspect of the 2000, and if you were to look at what happened in 2014, this was really the most startling point. That's Biju Janata Dal, that's TRS and Telugu Desam Party, that was the AIADMK, Congress a little bit in the northeast. But this is the BJP heartland, and quite literally it's the heartland. What is that, a 90% strike rate? Maybe Punjab being left out of there. 90% strike rate out here. And this from day one has been the question that everyone has been pointing to. Really tough for the BJP to repeat a sweep like this. So dropping out here, hoping to make up some ground here and here, and maybe in the northeast. Would that roughly sum it up?
That is what the BJP is hoping for, I believe. Because this is not going to happen. We saw in Gujarat 2017, even though they maintained a 50% vote share, their seats dropped drastically. Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh went to polls.
And above all, UP. Because this time UP has got the Mahagathbandhan.
Yeah, exactly.
Even with a small, that by itself.
Even in Bihar, let us not forget, they had 31 out of 40.
Sunita, look at this map and tell us, if you had to, in fact, look at this particular map, this is BJP stronghold, but therefore it is under potential threat, right? Because it can only drop from here. Where would, if you were the BJP looking at this map, Amit Shah looked at this map and saw the obvious areas, right? We have to try and go in here.
Yes, yes, that's right. But you see, Vikram, I completely agree with what Roshan is saying. However, this is the question we've been asking all BJP leaders we've been meeting. And what they say is that, look, if you think that Madhya Pradesh, if 2018 assembly elections are an indicator of how they're going to do in 2019, then it's not true. So what they're counting on is the fact that Gujarat is going to be, is not according to what happened in December 2017, but according to them, they're still going to get a huge chunk of the seats there.
But the point is,
the Congress also, if you speak to, they say the maximum that they can do over there are 6 or 7 seats. So it's still looking very good for the BJP
but
there.
The point though in this is very simple. No matter how well the BJP does in this area.
The new areas, you're talking about the new areas.
Yeah.
So the new
So I'm
areas,
saying,
what they
in
say
this
is,
area,
Assam, they hope to double it. It's not a huge chunk
Assam,
of
they
course.
got 7-ish last time.
So
Double
now
would mean
they-
a complete clean sweep.
Yeah, it means a clean sweep.
Yeah, so they're saying that you know, well, not obviously not like that, but 11, 10 or 11 is the number that they are saying.
They were
all over
targeting
there.
other parts of the northeast, and it was very possible
I'm
because
saying
let's
wait-
remember Tripura, they had actually made, you know, Tripura was one of the places which was left last time. This time they thought they might get it, and others. Did the citizens bill issue and others erode the abilities to really make dents into the northeast?
I would say that I think it's more on paper. People are very hurt. They are very, of course, there's turmoil. They're very disturbed. But I think finally, the Northeast and look at Himant Biswa Sarma. He seems to have some sort of ability to be able to, you know, really turn the tide at the booth level. So because of his organization and because he's worked on this NIDA for such a long time, I would say, or so intensively, and I haven't seen an opposition personality working at the same, with the same intensity and with the same drive. But I would still say that if you look at, you know, a loss of 5-6 coming from Gujarat, you know, in terms of Rajasthan,
5, 6, 7 out here. Obviously,
Chhattisgarh is a big loss. Will be.
Chhattisgarh is
So
a big
I would
loss.
say
They had
it
10
actually
last
comes.
time.
You know, Vikram, for me, what will be very important is, and you're absolutely right about Orissa, about West Bengal, about the Northeast, and maybe AIDMK, but we know that it's, you know, it's a sweep on one side or the other. What is very important for me is when you talk about 2004, I'm saying who is the Harkishan Singh Surjit of this time?
Okay.
And that's what's important.
Can I just ask you, one of the states that I think people haven't paid enough attention to is Tamil Nadu. But Nandini just said, it's normally a sweep one side or the other. That when people are sometimes, you see the opposition adding up its numbers, it's saying, oh, the DMK is doing really well, we're going to get 39 seats out here. Is this the way it is this particular part of the country? Is this the way it's going to look? Like all one party? Or is it going to be a patchwork? If it's a patchwork, then potentially the AIADMK and the BJP get 10 seats out here, which could have a bearing eventually.
Tamil Nadu is a complete puzzle this time. Both Jayalalitha and Karunanidhi have passed away. The ADMK, even minus Jayalalitha, is not the same organization it used to be. Dinakaran has walked away. There's, you know, a leadership feud has been going on for quite a long time. Then, you know, the DMK and the Congress are back. They did not contest together in 14. Both of them parted ways. So what Tamil Nadu throws, I think, would be extremely important. But even if the ADMK were to do well, I mean, nobody is expecting them to sweep, but I think the ADMK is a far more weakened party today. I mean, that one has to take into account.
Okay, to just get a final sort of a take on this, and then we're going to do some other episodes where we're going to go
I wanted to
state
get in
by
on the
state.
Northeast thing, Vikram.
Yeah.
So, no,
But what about Dinakaran in this?
we don't know. That's what I'm saying. So the court, you know, delayed the assembly elections. If the bypolls had been held, we would have had an idea as to you know, who has how much strength. The problem with the Northeast is, except Assam, you know, these are 1-2 seats. So all of Northeast, could probably just end up compensating for say a Chhattisgarh or a Jharkhand.
Yeah, so there are 25 seats here, the BJP 12, pick
Yes.
up maybe 7 or 8 there. So actually look at the map in general and let's just try and hypothetically look at what the scenarios are. Leave UP for a moment. In this belt swept by the BJP last time, from Karnataka, Gujarat, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, all of this. Let's say, I've heard some people saying there's going to be a drop, maybe 30, maybe 40, nobody's quite
Nobody
sure
knows.
how much it is. Somewhere in that range is a drop. Made up to some extent by West Bengal, something in Odisha, maybe something in the northeast. So that's pretty much the way it is looking. Where that ends up, you don't know. It could be a drop of 20 seats, 30 seats, 40 seats, 10 seats, nobody knows. That's somewhere in that range. Which then eventually brings us that takes the BJP from 270, let's say, down to 250 or 240 or something in that range. Then the question comes, what happens in UP? If the BJP only drops 10 or 20 in UP from last time, so it's at the 40-50 range, then it's in that 210 range that we were talking about,
That's right.
230, 240 range.
And that's what they...
And then they can form the government, no problem.
No, and that's what they're actually banking on. In fact, a lot of my colleagues have been coming back from Uttar Pradesh or the heartland, Madhya Pradesh, other places, and they're saying a lot of these places, things that Congress really banked on, and which for a while the BJP was very worried about, which is Nyay. Nyay, they say their internal assessment that Congress lost 10, the BJP, they took down their numbers by 10 seats just by the impact of Nyay. The date was announced. However, after that, the kind of row that Balakot and the kind of aftermath that it has, and they're expecting it to get a boost even further with the whole Masood Azhar being listed as by the UN. So they're saying all of that in these places, they're saying should have neutralized all of this a lot, and they're hoping in Uttar Pradesh they do actually quite well. So it's like a half-half scenario. They won't lose as many seats as it looked initially.
So what we were just describing is a sort of an in-between scenario. Certain drop for the BJP here, makes up a little bit here in the east. So drops here, little bit partially made up out here. Tamil Nadu a bit of a puzzle. And then it all boils down to how much is
Maharashtra
actually
is also
dropped
very
in
iffy,
UP.
Vikram. Maharashtra is also very iffy because a lot of people in the Congress think they're going to do well because of the kind, that they've been taking up issues like farmer distress and all, which have been major over there. However, let's not forget that in Maharashtra, Congress has also been beset by huge problems, whether it is, they've had some of their big leaders almost, they've all been unhappy.
Yeah.
So it depends on how it all works out.
No, so the leader of the opposition, Vicky Patil, now canvassing for the BJP because of his son. But I would say, Vikram, I do have one little point if there's time, which is you've looked at states. And I'm saying if your classificatory variable is urban-rural, then urban seats which had gone to BJP completely without even thinking, this time the urban voter is quite, a lot
Actually,
of the urban voter is thinking
in the areas
differently.
that I have travelled to, I thought that the urban voter, Varanasi, Lucknow, only a lot of places, urban voter may still say Modi, Modi, but in the rural areas is somewhat iffy. But anyway, these are some of the scenarios. We'll put them all out here for you again. Look at where the BJP is going to end up and you'll get a sense of who's really likely to form the government. You ask the BJP, they're saying this entire discussion is ridiculous. We're going to keep all of this. We're going to add something out here. We're going to end up at 270, 280 BJP alone at the NDA we're in. If you talk to some of the Congress leaders or the opposition leaders, they're saying nothing is really happening for the BJP in West Bengal or Odisha, but they're dropping everywhere and particularly in UP. In UP, there are at least a couple of doomsday scenarios that people are putting out for the BJP, which is, well, if that happens, then of course all bets are off. So those are the sort of numbers. Keep an eye on them on the 23rd. It's great to be here with you.
Thank you.
We're going to try and do some state-wise segments also, which we will keep on airing for you over the next week or so. For the moment, goodbye.